Hey guys, it's Tomatoda. Today I'm going to show you how to make these pencil/paintbrush holders. There's going to be two versions in this video. Starting with the first version, I'm taking some scrap clay and I'm going to make it into a triangular rod. You want to make sure that it's an equilateral or an isosceles triangle because the two equal sides will be used to make indents later on. Now I'm going to bake it in the oven. Make sure that it's laid out as flat as possible and as straight as possible. Then I'm going to be cutting these 3 canes I made in my previous video into thin slices to create a flat slab. You can use any other cane, or you can actually just create a random flat slab if you wish. If you don't know what a flat slab is, it's pretty much you lay out polymer clay pieces on top of another polymer clay sheet, and then you roll it out and flatten everything so it just becomes one big 2D clay design. So after laying out my flat polymer clay sheet, I'm using a blade to lightly make some marks. These linear marks will help me apply the cane slices straighter compared to freehanding it. The flat sheet itself is a thinner medium thickness, but it doesn't matter a whole lot, it's just up to you and your preference. When I apply the cane slices, I'm using that baked triangle rod from before to help me determine the spacing in between the images. Then I'm using this longer blade to help me make some marks so I know where to place the rest of the images. Ignore the other marks that are already there. I did the measurement previously with a ruler, but my math was off, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this after I lay down the initial slices. I think that would be more visually helpful. Anyways, after all the pieces are laid out, I sandwich the slab in between parchment paper and roll it flat. Then I add another sheet of polymer clay on the back and roll it some more. This second layer is going to help blend out the lines and the cracks on the front. Also, if your slab crinkles like this because of the wrinkled parchment paper, you should probably switch it out with a new one. Now, I'm going to add more and more layers until the slab is the thickness I want it to be. At this point, I don't have to put too much pressure when I roll it out as I did the first 2 layers. This bottom one wasn't aligned very well, so I'm going to work on it individually. But for the rest, I'm going to take the 2 equal sides of my triangle rod and press it into the slab to create dents. These dents are where the pencil and the paintbrushes will rest. Just want to say you can work on this part individually instead of all at once like I am. It doesn't have to be this whole chunk. The reason why I did it all at once was so the holders can be equal in size, but it's kind of unnecessary, I guess. You can roughly cut and separate each holder, create the indents in them, and then cut around to even out the sides. Now here I am cutting and separating them after the indents. If you want to get a bit wild, just experiment, cut the corners, something. And now that they are finished, we're going to bake them and clean them up at the end of this video because it is time for the second version. For the second version, I made a patterned cane. The individual slices are about 8 centimeters in thick, and as you can see, I just roughly filled in the empty spaces with white clay. Then I reduce, and I cut it into thin slices. And just like the first version, I'm going to turn it into a slab for a more consistent thickness. For the second layer, I decided to use the leftover blue from the blue bear cane. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough to cover all 3, so goodbye number 3. Just kidding, I'm gonna be using the leftover yellow for that one. And 2 layers is it for this second version. Now I'm gonna cut it into equal shapes. They don't have to be equal, but for some reason, I keep trying to make it equal, even though my math is just totally off all the time. Then I'm going to use this glass bottle to help me create a curve shape. Take a scrap clay to create the base so the glass doesn't roll over. Put the clay on top, pat it down lightly, and bake. In the meantime, take the leftover glue and roll it into a long rod. Here is the glass bottle after it's been baked and cooled down. And here's what the clay looks like after it's been removed. Now, going back to the rods, I cut them in half and I'm placing them on top of parchment paper as parallel to each other as possible. You can put some liquid clay on top, but I don't think it's actually necessary. However, it's better safe than sorry. Then I'm putting the curved slab on top of the rods and I push it down the center. Push it down all the way. And cut off the excess as close to the edge as possible. As you can see, the back side doesn't look so good, so I'm going to cut the insides just to make things look more straighter. And for the outside, I'm just gonna lightly press it in because it already doesn't look too bad. Now it's time to clean. I'm using acetone on a cotton pad to wipe away the dust and dirt. Also, it'll help remove any light lines, creases, or texture. Keep in mind that some clay colors bleed a lot more than others, like the yellow here. So my first cotton pad is used to even out the surface and remove dirt. Then I go in with a clean second cotton pad to wipe off any of the discolorations that was caused from the bleeding colors. And now, done. Here are all the holders I made. There's a lot of variations because I wanted to experiment what would look better and what doesn't look better, but yeah. Anyways, if you're wondering, yes, these can technically be used as chopstick holders, but since polymer clay isn't exactly food grade safe, I would just stick with paint brushes and stuff like that. And yeah, so here's both versions. I hope you guys liked this video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I love you all. Bye-bye.